Imbibers, welcome to today's session. And children, we have already completed one chapter, which is the biological classification, and today we're going to start with another amazing topic related to botany, which is the plant kingdom. I know it doesn't go well with you. You're always afraid of botany, especially the plant kingdom, because you have to learn so much about it. But I know I try to make it easy as much as possible for you. Okay, so just like that, we have discussed about the fungi, protista, monera. We're going to discuss about the algae, bryophytes, pteridophytes, and of course the gymnosperms and the angiosperms. So before we start the session, let me introduce you to myself. I am Anam Khan. I'll be your botany expert for the session 2023 and 2024. We're going to discuss all the amazing and interesting topics, I feel, of course, related to botany. Okay, I know among much of you, many students are literally afraid of the botany because they feel like it's too much to remember, it's difficult to remember. But children, please, if you understand the concept clearly, if you have a clear understanding of everything, it is actually easy for you to grasp the botany. Not as much of course, I know you people like animal stuff, but the plant is also good. So let me start with the introduction of the plant kingdom. So I children request you to always attempt the pre and post class activities given for you, the pre-class activities for your benefit only, so that you have a better understanding of the concept. And after the class gets over, after the session is over, please attempt the post class activities so that you have an understanding that whatever is being taught in the class, you have understood it. Okay. So moving on with the today's lecture, which is an introduction towards the plant kingdom. And yet, of course, after we complete the algae, there's going to be a practice session this weekend only, this week, which is Friday, of course. After we complete one topic, there's going to be a practice session for you. Children, we're going to discuss the questions and we're going to always discuss your doubts also. So practice sessions is absolutely important. We're going to have that in the coming week, and please do register yourself for the class. The classes are always scheduled on the Embibe app, and we are basically teaching, we are explaining everything in detail with the respective topics in the sequence of the CBSE. So let's start with our today's lecture, which is the introduction towards the plant kingdom. So talking about the topics to be covered, the topics to be covered would be all the coming sessions and of course the today's topic. So in the coming session, we're going to discuss about the algae, the detailed description of the algae. Then we're going to discuss about the bryophytes. Then we're going to discuss about the pteridophytes. And of course, there's the gymnosperms, there's the angiosperms, and the life cycles of all the plants. Everything will be discussed in detail, okay, will be helpful for your examination also, and also somewhere in future if you wanted to attempt NEET examination, it's going to help you with the basics also. Okay, so starting our today's lecture, let's see what we have. The concepts to be covered in today's lecture would be, of course, talking about the plant kingdom. We're going to see about the systematic classification. We're going to discuss about the artificial classification. Of course, we're going to discuss about the natural system of classification. We're going to discuss about phylogenetic classification, numerical taxonomy, cytotaxonomy, and chemotaxonomy. We're going to discuss about everything in today's lecture. Okay. Starting with the plant kingdom, children, you know the recap. Of course, yesterday we have discussed about the virus, prions, and of course the lichens and the viroids. You know, we have discussed everything, though the pathogen which are absolutely infectious. These are also, which is the virus structure, types, prions. You know, the virus is absolutely, it is considered having both the characteristics of living and non-living and absolutely infectious. It was first discovered in the tobacco plant and has caused the disease called tobacco mosaic disease. The majorly infectious agent in the plants is always the RNA, having RNA as a genetic material. But when it comes to animals, the viruses can have both the genetic materials, could be RNA as well as the DNA. Okay. And there are prions, you know, they are absolutely small sized. Of course, you cannot see it with the naked eyes. They have a glycoprotein and which are also extremely infectious in nature. Okay. Okay, children, talking about more, let's start our today's session. Just a brief recap of the previous lecture. Let's start. You know, children, talking about the plants, the exclusive characteristics to differentiate between the plants and the other animals. The typical plants are eukaryotic that show autotrophic mode of nutrition. The differentiation which makes the plant stand out and completely differentiating between the animals and the plants is that the plants are typically autotrophic and plants make their own food and they are eukaryotic organisms, okay, which is absolutely different from the animals, okay. So children, the plants are typically the whole making their own food, the whole autotrophic nutrition, the whole synthesizing their own food, make them stand out from everything, and that is why we have created the whole plant kingdom individually and we have classified everything which comes under the plant kingdom. Okay, talking more about the plant kingdom, children, we have further divided plant kingdom into two. Listen very carefully, this division, these basics of 11th, these basics of plant kingdom, I request you children, just remember everything in 11th standard because these basics are absolutely going to help you in future a lot. Because sometimes it's all about that you don't know the basic and you keep on struggling with the more conceptual things. I want the whole 11th CBSE, the 11th NCERT is going to help you clearing all the basics, and of course your NEET examination is absolutely based out of NCERT only. Okay, so please in your 11th standard, I know this is the very first time you're going through such vast topics, such vast explanations, but if your basics is clear right here, right now, it is going to benefit you a lot when you are going to attempt for your NEET examination, because NEET classes are already going on in the Embibe, you can check it out, okay. But here we are going to only discuss about your 11th CBSE syllabus. Okay, talking about the plant kingdom, there are two types of plant kingdom. One is the cryptogamy and other is the phanerograms. What are cryptograms and what are phanerograms? Talking about the cryptograms, these are non-flowering, non-seed bearing plants. Cryptogamous, it means they do not have seed, they do not have flowers. Okay, non-flowering, non-seeded plants. And it is further divided into, thallophytes, algae, bryophytes, pteridophytes, all are under the cryptograms. On the other hand, there comes the phanerograms, plants which have seeds or seed bearing plants. They are angiosperms and the gymnosperms. Talking about the angiosperms, they are the first flowering plants, and the whole flowering plants which gives us fruit, seeds and everything which is edible part. And of course there is gymnosperms which are known majorly for their bearing naked seeds. Okay, everything which is basically you can see in the board will be discussed in the detail in all the coming session, be it thallophyta, bryophyta, pteridophyta. Talking about the thallophytes, they have a thallus structure. The whole body is not differentiated into root, stem and leaves. Talking about the bryophytes, they have started showing a little bit of the vascular tissues and they have absent of root, stem like structures. They do not have proper root stem leaves, but they do have similar structures which appears like root stem or leaves, but they are not. Okay, next comes the pteridophytes. In the vascular tissues are present and the plant body is differentiated into root, stem and leaves, and plants, they do not produce seeds. Then comes to the gymnosperms. The gymnosperms bears the naked seeds, and then comes the angiosperm which have seeds, which have flowers, which have everything is present, and the most advanced family, the most advanced in the plant kingdom. Clear? So children, if you see the whole description over here, you can see that we have from the very primitive kind of a structure, we will move to the most advanced kind of a structure in the plants. Talking about the algae, they are absolutely primitive, they are thallophytes, they don't even have root, stem and leaves, and when we move towards this, we know the angiosperms are the most advanced flowering family, which have the most advanced features. So that is why we'll start with the most primitive one, we'll end with the most advanced one. Okay, so this is the whole division of the cryptograms and the phanerograms. So let's start talking about more about the classification, children. What is plant kingdom? What is there in the whole plant kingdom? Just a brief introduction about it, talking about the plant kingdom, children. The plant kingdom includes all the plants. It includes all the plants. You know, of course, the name itself is very clear. They are plants. They are completely having all the plant structure. They are eukaryotic, multicellular and autotrophic organism. They have eukaryotic cells. They are completely having which is multicellular body, and they are having autotrophic nutrition, which makes us stand out from other organisms. Okay, the plant cell wall contains a cellulosic cell wall. You know that animal cell do not have a cell wall only, but the plant cell have a cellulosic cell wall. All the plants have a chloroplast and chlorophyll pigment which requires for the photosynthesis. Yes, I don't know why there's something not coming over here. Okay, so plants have chlorophyll pigment. The plants have chloroplast which basically help them in having the photosynthesis into the process of photosynthesis. So this is, I know, this very basic features of the plant, you know that. Okay, there's a brief introduction about what is plant kingdom, what includes in the plant kingdom. So now itself you know that these are the most major characteristic of the plant, and especially the chlorophyll, the chloroplast, the photosynthetic capability make them stand out from every other organisms. Moving forward, talking more about, now let's talk about on which initially the classification of the plant kingdom was done. So children, the classification of plant was based on a superficial characteristics. Initially, it was based on the habit, color, number and shape of the leaves. But the classification were further more classified through the artificial system, natural system and phylogenetic system. So initially, the whole classification was on the morphology, as you can see, the habitat, the color, the number, the shape of the leaves, but eventually different classification came into limelight, and every particular classification has its own form of classifying the plants. So it's one by one we'll explain everything or explore everything. Let's start with the artificial system of classification. Talking about the artificial system of classification which was given by Carolus Linnaeus, and he basically proposed that the plants are having the morphological characteristic. He divided plants on the base of the morphology, the external characteristics of the plant. Carolus Linnaeus, you know, the father of taxonomy, of course. He proposed the artificial system of classification in which he used the classification of plant on the basis of the morphological characteristics. Talking about the merits, the classifying organisms are based on the vegetative characteristics or structure of the androecium. The demerits of this classification is that, you know, the merit means the positive points. So the positive points of this artificial system of classification is that they are completely based on the vegetative characteristics or the structure of the androecium. Okay. Next, what are the complete rejecting points or the demerits or the drawbacks of the artificial system of classification is that the closely related species were classified into different categories. Equal importance was given to vegetative and sexual characteristics. So, it is not possible only how closely related species can be kept in different categories. They should be kept in the similar categories where they are absolutely closely related to each other. Okay, and yet there were no comparison, only a plant is having a vegetative characteristics and specialized sexual characteristics. So they are also, there is a clear differentiation, clear classification on the basis of that. So it was a complete demerit for the artificial system of classification which was given by Carolus Linnaeus, and it was rejected there and there itself. You know, we always talking about the biological classification also, you know, even after the 5 kingdom classification of the Whittaker, it still has drawbacks. Then the 6 kingdom classification given by Carl was might have still more drawbacks, because now we are starting classification on the basis of double stranded RNA or the genetic material. Okay, so children, eventually, you know, the scientist will come, they will use the discovery, most advanced and advanced things will come into the limelight, and there will always be a demerits, there will always be a drawbacks of every classification, but yet we are still sticking to the 6 kingdom classification and 5 kingdom classification. So yes, artificial system of classification was totally rejected on the basis of demerits. Let's see what we have other doing the back. The another system of classification was the natural system of classification. Talking about the natural system of classification, the Bentham and Hooker gave the artificial system of classification. They proposed the The Bentham and Hooker proposed the natural system of classification. He proposed the merits of this classification is that this particular classification was based on the vegetative and floral characters. Yes, of course, just like the artificial also. Next, the anatomy of the cell. It means the tissue level organization. Tissue level organization. Okay, the internal structure, the anatomy, the internal structure. Next, the types of embryo present, and of course the phytochemistry. What is a phytochemistry? The study of natural products and chemicals obtained from the plant. So I think it was more vast than the artificial system of classification, that the Bentham and Hooker also used the phytochemistry, the kind of a chemical secreted by the different plants. What were the demerits of the natural system of classification? Is that it does not include the phylogenetic relationship. It does not include the phylogenetic relationship. It placed gymnosperm between the monocot and the dicot. Of course, the phylogeny is absolutely important. How can you just keep, of course, when you know about, when I am going to explain you the gymnosperms and angiosperms and everything, you will understand why this was clearly a rejecting point, that keeping the gymnosperm between the monocots and the dicots, because dicot plants are the most advanced one. Okay, so children, also the natural system of classification was not that explanatory, or you can say more fast. But the most widely accepted system of classification was the phylogenetic system of classification. Yes, you know, the most widely accepted system of classification was the phylogenetic system of classification. Why? Because it was based on the evolutionary and genetic relationship. It was based on the evolutionary and genetic relationship, and all the particular organism belonging from the same taxa are basically coming from the same ancestor. It means they have this phylogenetic relationship, evolutionary relationship with each other, that the same taxa organism have same common ancestor. Okay, the A.W. Eckler developed this classification in 1883. Okay, eventually it was basically developed in 1883. What he did, he basically had this plant kingdom divided into two. Just now we have studied the whole classification, that the plant kingdom was further divided into cryptograms and the phanerograms. Talking about the cryptograms, which are seedless plants, one is the algae, there is the bryophytes, the other is the pteridophytes. And there are sub-kingdom which are phanerograms, which are seeded plant, more advanced one, the gymnosperms and the angiosperm. So why not to basically take this classification into consideration? Yes, because it's the most classified, the most, I would say, diverse, I would say more kind of a relationship between the organisms being more widely explained in this particular kingdom of classification. The more every particular plant species, every particular form was on the basis of their evolutionary relationship and of course their phylogenetic relationship, whatever you can say. So this is the most widely accepted one, and that is why we are going to study this one only. Talking about, coming it to the back, this is all about the types of classification basically existing, but still there are several other things which makes more of the system of classification. There's lots of branches which help in the classification on the basis of other characteristics they have. Characteristics on the basis of numerical taxonomy, cytotaxonomy, chemotaxonomy. These are the few things which were eventually taken into the consideration, and also the plants were also described on the basis of this. Okay, because this is also kind of a thing which we take into the consideration, that this plant might show this kind of a taxonomy, this kind of a plant show this type of characteristics, this plant show this type of a characteristic. So we have also basically classified on the basis of this. So numerical taxonomy is other branch of taxonomy, in which what we do, we basically characterize plant on the basis of a code or a number. Okay, we are not carried out using computers. Of course, the only processes, the only thing which could be done with the numerical taxonomy, there's so much numbers, so it has to be done through computers. Multiple characteristics can be considered together and given equal importance. So there are several characteristics which are considered together and given equal importance. Okay, and it is based on all the observable characteristics. Okay, So just to make the study easy, I think this is the kind of a taxonomy which is not very normal, not very popular also, of course, among the standard only 11, 12 might. In the future, if you wanted to be a taxonomist, you might go through such things. So these are the things which are not that much talked about. Okay, next is the cytotaxonomy. The name itself is very clear. Cyto means cytological, means cell. So the classification on the basis of cytological information. What cytological information? The chromosome number, the shape and the size, and of course the whole cell structure. So of course the cytotaxonomy is on the basis of the cell structure, chromosome number, shape and size. Then comes the chemotaxonomy. Talking about the chemotaxonomy, children, the name itself is very clear. Chemo means chemical. It means the kind of a chemical constituent is present in the plants. What kind of a chemical? It could be nucleic acid, peptides, starch, grains, wax, rubber, proteins, everything. The kind of a chemical majorly present in that plant, the classification is done on the basis of the chemical constituents. Phenols all are studied in the chemotaxonomy. Okay. So these are the major branches of the taxonomy which might not be very popular, but yet taken into consideration on basis and classified different plants on the basis of this. Clear? I hope this is clear. Okay, moving forward with the more branches of taxonomy, next we have the question for you. So which taxonomy is based on the chemical constituents of plants? Connect the right answer. You know which taxonomy is based on the constituents of plants? Which taxonomy is based on the constituents of plant? Very easy, just now we have discussed about it. Yes, the taxonomy is based on the chemical constituent is of course the chemotaxonomy. So children, if you see this particular, you can attempt it on the Embibe app. So whenever you get a chance, please do join us on the Embibe app. It will be easy for you. You can directly attempt this question on the Embibe app. I know it is not possible in YouTube, but if you are all signed up on the Embibe app, you can basically attempt this question. Yes, it will be able, you can basically see this on your screen and you will be able to just join them. So please do join us on the Embibe app. Okay, all the classes are there in the typical sequential manner, all are there. Okay, so you can also register for the class. If you register for the class, you will get an update regarding it. Okay, so please join us on the Embibe app so you can attempt such questions and of course learn everything in a more, I would say, more explanatory manner. Okay, moving forward with our today's introduction to plant kingdom. Next we have again there is a question that which of the following is a demerit of artificial system of classification? What do you think is a demerit of an artificial system of classification? What do you think is a demerit of an artificial system of classification? What do you think is a demerit of an artificial system of classification? Each character is given code or a number. You know, just now we have discussed about it. Which of the following is a demerit of artificial classification of system? Children, we today on only the introduction of plant kingdom, we are going to discuss few things about the algae also, but tomorrow or the next session will be about the other, of course, the algae. We are going to discuss about all the different kind of algae, phyophyceae, chlorophyceae, pheophyceae, everything in detail. Then we will discuss about bryophyta. So we are going to discuss everything in detail. So for that you have to just join us on the Embibe app and register for the classes. Okay, so please, and you can always attempt questions on the Embibe app. So the answer for this is that which of the following is a demerit of the artificial classification system is that it has given equal importance to vegetative as well as the sexual characteristic, which is not a good thing. Of course, how can you just give equal weightage to both vegetative and sexual characteristics, because sexual characteristics are the feature of the most advanced plants, advanced families. Moving forward, children, with our today's lecture, next we have another question. The first phylogenetic system of classification was proposed by who gave the first phylogenetic system of classification? Who gave the first classification system? What do you think? Who gave the first classification system? Yes, the first phylogenetic classification system was given by Engler and Prandtl. He gave the first phylogenetic system of classification. Okay. Next, chromosome has no role in cytotaxonomy. Do you think this is true, or do you think is a false? Chromosome has no role in cytotaxonomy. What is cytotaxonomy? When we study the structure of the cell. So, do you think the chromosome number is relevant when we talk about the cytotaxonomy? Do you think the chromosome number has an importance when we talk about the cytotaxonomy? True or not? Yes, absolutely. Has no role. Yes, absolutely false. It has a role. Yes or no? It has complete role in the cytotaxonomy. Yes, cytotaxonomy is the structure, cell structure. Next, chemotaxonomy is based on the study of cytological information like chromosomes, numbers, structure, behavior. Yes, true or false? What do you think chemotaxonomy is based upon? What do you think the chemotaxonomy is based upon? Just now we have studied the numerical taxonomy, cytotaxonomy, chemotaxonomy. What do you think the chemotaxonomy is based on? Yes, chemotaxonomy is based on what? Talking about the chemotaxonomy, absolutely false, because it is based on the chemical constituents of the plant. Okay. So, children, so chemotaxonomy, also called the chemosynthetic systematics, is the classification on the basis and identification of organisms, primarily plants, according to the differences and similarities in their biochemical properties. So, children, talking about the whole classification system, when we discuss about the artificial, phylogenetic, natural system of classification, each and every classification system has its own importance at that time, but eventually everything was discarded on the basis of kind of a demerits they have. Okay, and the most widely accepted is of course the phylogenetic classification system. Okay, because it was based on the phylogeny, it was based on the evolutionary relationship between the whole plants. Okay, and they were kept according to that only. Okay, so children, moving forward, next we have, this is all about today's session. What we have studied about the introduction towards the plant kingdom. It was just a brief introduction about all the classification system in the plant kingdom. Moving forward, we are going to discuss about the algae, bryophytes, pteridophytes, gymnosperms, angiosperms in detail. Okay, so children, what we have studied today? We have studied that the plant kingdom includes all the photosynthetic, all the autotrophic organisms, especially the multicellular organisms. What stand outs in the plant kingdom, what is not a characteristic of any other organism, is that they have chloroplast, they have pigment called chlorophyll, and they are capable of creating their own food. Okay, eventually there are three system of classification came into the limelight, which divided the plants on the basis of respective characteristics, first came the natural system of classification. It was basically based on the similarities in the vegetative and the floral characteristics. Bentham and Hooker basically gave this system of classification. Then came the artificial system of classification, which was given by Carolus Linnaeus. He basically said that all the characteristics, he said all the morphology and all the superficial characteristics are given the equal importance. Next, there is a phylogenetic classification given by A.W. Eichler. Ankeren developed the classification on the basis in 1883, evolutionary and genetic relationship. There are numerical taxonomy, cytotaxonomy and chemotaxonomy, also kind of a classification in which on the basis of the cell structure, chromosome number, chemotaxonomy is about the chemical constituents, and of course the number taxonomy on the basis of numbers was basically giving the more elaborative explanation, more elaborated classification of the different organisms. Before we move forward, there is a question for you children which totally, do you think about the plants without root, stem and leaves? Do you know about such plants? You know, everybody has seen this, because this is our next topic. We're going to discuss about the algae, because algae do not have a definite structure. They do not have root, stem and leaves. Okay, they do not have root, stem and leaves. So we're going to discuss about them. We're going to discuss about features of algae, the classification of algae and their features in that. Okay, so do not miss that class. But before you go, you know that children, this is our Embibe app. This is what I was talking about. If you just log in through your phone number or your email ID, you will log into that and you will find on this page what you have to do. You have to just select your board, your school exam. It would be a CBSE. Just select your board, and then this is your 11th CBSE. As you click on this, you can select your respective language and just press done, and you will land on this page. As you land on this page, you have to press the home button, and children, there would be the Embibe live classes button, and you just press it. All the respective classes would be there scheduled over here, will be present. You just have to do, you have to register for the class. As you register for the class, you will see, you can check out the pre-class and activities, and after the class gets over, you can check out the post-class activity. As you can see, all the basically class for the next 10 days is already scheduled, and by any chance if you have missed any session, all the past Embibe classes are already present in this. You can always watch any class whenever you want. Okay, you can learn through the learn part through various subjects, whatever subject you belong to, maths, biology, chemistry, physics, all the subjects would be present over here, and the respective videos related to it. All the things will be there, respective videos, concepts, everything would be there, respective books, videos with the solution is there. You can always learn, practice. You can practice different practice books through physics, chemistry, biology, mathematics. I think it's all in one particular app which you have everything in there in their place, from the live classes to the content. Everything is present in the Embibe app. Then you can always test yourself. You can create a test for you, or you can create your own test, and you can also attempt the trending test. You can basically take full test whenever you want. Okay, and then you can always see what you can achieve. Okay, how much you have achieved, how progress you have made, and what more progress is to be made. Okay, and the next would be the Embibe Lens app. Children, this is one amazing app. What you have to do, just download the Embibe Lens app, log in through email ID or phone number, scan the text, and it will highlight everything and it will show you everything in 3D. So what you have to do, just download, scan any textbook, physics, chemistry, biology or mathematics. You can see everything in 3D, all the structures in 3D. It is an amazing app to learn, have a visual learning. We will meet again with the next session of the algae. Okay children, please do register yourself for the class, sign up for the Embibe app so that you never miss an update. And children, we'll meet again for the next session. Until then, keep imbibing. Bye-bye.
Keep imbibing. We believe in you.